Abstract of the teachings of Mani, the Buddha of Light. One scroll. The most virtuous Fututan, having on the 8th day of the 6th month of the 19th year of the period of Kaiyan, received the instruction of the Emperor. It was translated at the College of the Hall of Gathered Worthies. The first article. On his incarnation and native country, his names and titles and his peculiar tenets. Fu Si Ti Wu Lu Shen, in translation the messenger of light, is also the king of the law of perfect wisdom, and again Mani, the Buddha of light. These different designations of the Manichaean of our unsurpassable, bright, and all-wise king of healing. At the time when he was about to be born, the two radiant ones, having sent down spiritual power to lie in each part of the trachea, he, because of his great compassion, opposing the demonic forces, and personally receiving the pure teaching from the venerable Lord of Light, became incarnate and is therefore called the Messenger of Light. Being most sincere, profoundly intelligent, devoted and firm, strong in argument, he is called the King of the Law of Perfect Wisdom. Through emptiness responding to spirituality and holiness, through body beholding the ultimate, he is called Mani, the Buddha of Light. Brightness is that by which he penetrates the inside and outside. All wisdom is that by which he comprehends men and celestial beings. Unsurpassability is that by which his place is high and venerable, and being king of healing is that by which he distributes the remedy of law. Thus also, when the Lord Loro was conceived, the great luminary poured out its brilliance. When Sakya was conceived, the sun disharmonized its manifestations. How should, on the basis of their inborn spirituality, the three blessed ones, Laertius, Sakya, and Mani, be different, since by maintenance of their perfected nature they all apprehended the truth? Mani, the Buddha of Light, was born in the country of Shulin at the royal palace of Patti by his wife Manichaean of the house of Chin. Now, as the natural endowments and the heavenly omuna being appropriate, his mother conceived, and that observing the rules of abstinence and strictly purifying herself, she became pregnant. That was because of his own pureness. That, having entered existence from his mother's chest, he surpassed his age and excelled everyone, and that he evidenced the spiritual verifications ninefold and answered the supernatural auspices fivefold. That was because his birth was beyond the ordinary. The virtues of the three resolves, the four karmases, 5 truths, and 8 forms of fearlessness, all perfectly provided in him. Those qualities which cannot all be told may be discussed by celestial beings, and meant for rising above grief, as well as joy, and for inducing virtuous ways. Were it not so, why should he have been bodily born in the royal palace, accomplished in spirit, and understanding the way, perceiving the principles, and realizing the roots, wise in counsel, and extraordinarily upright in his bodily condition, singularly refined in his reasoning, embracing heaven and earth, having thorough knowledge of sun and moon, when explaining the two primeval causes perfectly just, when proclaiming the self-nature defining everything, when expounding the 3 epochs profoundly, scholarly, when arguing the primary and secondary causes, fully conclusive, exterminating the false and protecting the right, removing the impure and exalting the pure, in the word simple, in his mind upright, in his conduct correct, in his testimonies true. For 60 years teaching the means of expediency, he imbued the four sanctities with power and authority and mounted the 7 sections of the sutras as ships. In response to the 3 palaces, he established the 3 venerable monastic officers, and taking for a model the 5 lights, he arranged the 5 grades of believers, the wonderful door of his teaching possessing exceptional character, its blessing extend to life and death. The Mahamaya Sutra says, 1300 years after the Buddha's Nirvana, the Kasaya will be changed into a white one and will be no longer dyed. The Juwin Fo Sanmi Heixing says, when the pearl luster Buddhas manifested themselves in the world, they will make emissions of light, the Buddha work. The Lotus Hu Hu Xing says, having mounted a vapour of the Tao of spontaneous light, I shall fly into the country of Shulin in the realm of the king of Fushna. I shall manifest myself as the crown prince, leave family life and enter the way, and be called Mani. I shall turn the wheel of the great law, and shall explain the canonical precepts and regulations, and the practice of meditation and knowledge, etc., as well as the doctrines of the 3 epochs and the 2 principles. All the beings, from the realm of light to the dark paths, will thereby be delivered. Of years 5 times 9 having passed after Mani, my law shall flourish. After Mani ceases transforming work, and in his person returned into true calmness, the teaching thereupon spread to all countries and approached and converted the people. Evidence and prophecy being in concord, the traces of the Blessed One have become manifest. The teaching expounds the principle of light, thus removing the delusion of darkness. The doctrine explains the 2 natures, taking discrimination between them for its particular method. Thus the Buddhist sutras say, if a man forsake discrimination, he destroys every law. A truly pious man must not share his dwelling place. And again, as the birds turn to the open air, as animals turn to forest and marsh, so truth turns to discrimination, so the enlightened turns to nirvana. Unless one ascertains the principles and roots, whereto can one turn and tend? If the method of conduct is true, the reward will be realized in the 3 palaces. When the nature will be separated from the light, its name will be one form. This in the religion is called deliverance. Henceforth we mention points of detail in a summary way only, to the extent needed to demonstrate the approach to practice. The foreign original is rather full, but our translation does not elaborate. Second article. The nimbus of Mani, the Buddha of light, being 12-fold, is the excellent sign of the King of Light. His body, fully displaying the great light, has the esoteric meaning of the limitless. His wonderful appearance is outstanding, without equal among men and gods. His being clad in a white robe symbolizes the 4 pure Dhyamakas. His occupying the white throne depicts the 5 Vajra lands, the union and separation of the 2 realms, and the purport and trend of the before and after are apparent in true bearing and can be received if one looks at him. All the spiritual signs he possesses, in their 100 and 1,000-fold excellency and subtlety, are, indeed, difficult to set forth fully. Third article. On the style of the canon of sutras and the drawing, all in all, there are 7 parts, together with a drawing. The first, the Book of Wisdom, which thoroughly understands the roots and origins of the entire doctrines. The second, the sacred book of the treasure of pure life. The third, the sacred book of discipline, also called the sacred book of healing. The fourth, the sacred book of secret law. The fifth, the book of instruction which testifies the past. The sixth, the book of strong heroes. The seventh, the book of praises and vows. One drawing, the drawing of the two great principles. The 7 great sutras and the one drawing mentioned above, Mani, the Buddha of light, at the very time when he was about to descend into the world, and all sanctities approving, responded by birth to the cause attained, and on the day of the establishments of the law, he himself transmitted to them to the 5 grades of believers, as to the authorized Yama stated during the remainder of his 60 years. The disciples noted them down according to opportunity. Those we do not enumerate. Fourth article, on the style of the 5 grades of believers. The first, the 12 guardians of the law and teachers of the way. The second, the 72 attendants of the law. The third, the 360 principles of the whole of law. The fourth, the purely good men. The fifth, all purely faithful listeners. The pure good men and the higher grades all wear white hats and garments, and only the grade of all purely faithful listeners are permitted to retain their ordinary dress. If these 5 grades trust to each other, obey all instructions, and stand firmly by the prohibitions, each will be on the road of deliverance. If a guardian of the Dharma violates the precepts, no one shall accept his instructions. Even though he is well versed in the 7 sutras and eminently skilled in debate, if he has faults and vices, the 5 grades of believers will not assist him. Like a tree that thrives by its roots, if they are exhausted, the tree withers. If a purely good man violates the precepts, regard him as dead. Expose him to public knowledge, expel him from the religion, for although the sea is vast, it does not suffer corpses for long. Whoever covers and screens him commits the same breach of precepts.